Okay, hello and welcome to a brief little tutorial on how to get started with Tinker's Construct in versions of Minecraft beyond 1.7.10. So, to start off with, you will start off with in your inventory a book called Materials and You. When you open it, you can go in, it'll give you the introduction, which has you create patterns, then a part builder, then build parts, and then a Tinker's Station to build your tools. For that, you'll need a couple oak logs, which what we're then going to do is we're going to turn a couple of them into sticks. We're not going to need a ton of sticks though. So now that's going to get crafted up into patterns, which then we will get ourselves a part builder from that. Then what we'll do is we will craft a crafting table, put a pattern right above it. We get a crafting station. And now what we do is we put the part builder down, we put patterns in there. We take our crafting station, we can put that there, and then now, essentially everything in here will just stay in our crafting table, so we can actually build the parts for our tool, which for a pickaxe, you need a pickaxe head, a tool handle, and a tool binding. And I just crafted these all out of stone, but you don't actually have to craft them out of stone. So, what I can actually do is these are essentially useless because there's not much that I can really do with them, which is unfortunate. But wood is actually very good because when you repair it, then you get more base durability every time you repair it. So you can actually get crazily increased durability from that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the tool binding and the tool handle out of wood for this guy. And then we're also going to make an axe. For the axe, we're gonna make an axe head, and actually we're gonna make a different tool, not an axe. So we got a round plate, and then now all we need is a tool handle for this guy, and then now we need to actually build ourselves the Tinker Station. So Tinker Station is essentially pretty much the same thing as the crafting station, except for it's 3 patterns and then 4 oak planks, and then you put that there. And since these are all directly touching, what we can do is we can actually click on one, and then we can access all of them through that one that we're touching, which is a good safe space saving thing. So now what we do is we can make ourselves our pickaxe, which is going to be the stone pickaxe. It's going to have pierce because that's something that pickaxes come with. And then we also have stone bound, and I will show you guys the modifiers here in a second. But the other thing that we're going to make is a mattock, which lets us cut down trees and is effective on dirt and plants. So I'm gonna make that, and then now I'm gonna show you guys the modifiers for these guys. So the stone mattock has a durability of 162, a damage of 3.75, a melee speed of 0.9, which is not super high, good mining speed. You have multiple upgrades and abilities, which we'll get into in a future episode, but you start off with tilling, it can till dirt. Stonebound, it mines faster as it wears out, but it does less damage. And then economical, which is cultivated, which means that it grows more material when repairing. And then the pickaxe has pierce 1, which cancels out armor. Stonebound 1, which again mines faster as it wears out, but does less damage. And then cultivated 2, which means it'll grow more material when repairing. From there, it also has 130 durability, 3 damage, 1.2 melee speed, a mining speed of 4, which is a little bit lower than the mattock, just simply because the mattock has 2 pieces of stone. But what we'll be able to do now is just kind of casually go down here. Let's go down here real quick and get ourselves some more stone. And as you can see, it's a really good tool, especially early on for mining fast. And now all we'll need to do from here is get a little bit more stone, and I'm gonna wear out this pickaxe. Okay, I've broken both tools, so now we'll come back to the Tinker Station, and you can actually use this to repair them. So 0 out of 162, we chuck some stone on there, and now it's back 162. It didn't end up getting anything, unfortunately, but this guy, 130. Okay. So it didn't end up getting anything, but overall, it's pretty nice. Does pretty good. And These are the best starting tools. For a starting weapon, I highly recommend just making a normal sword. And we will get into the future versions of this kind of stuff. But overall, there is a bunch of different stuff. You can make a parts chest, a tinker's chest. There's a bunch of tier 1 materials. Of course, copper, course, you're never going to get that early on. Leather is really good, but overall you've got rock, wood. Flint has the jagged, which increase every point durability lost increases damage. So overall, flint will increase damage by a considerable margin. The only issue being that it doesn't have great modifiers, but it is quite useful. Bone has piercing, which cancels out armor, so if you want to make a sword, using a bone handle is really, really good, because you get extra melee speed, and durability doesn't matter a ton. Dwarven is really nice, so the deeper you are, the faster it mines, which is great. Chorus, you're never going to get this early on, but leather gives tan, so no longer takes double or more damage from certain actions. String just makes it so you can repair it using string, which is nice. And vines mean that in the sunlight, it resists damage, which is nice. There are ranged materials and stuff, but that doesn't matter a whole ton. The different tools we have, though, are the crossbow, dagger, flint and brick, hand axe, mattock, pickaxe, sword, and then there's repairing, part swapping, and recycling tools. We're actually going to go through part swapping right now. If we go back into our part builder, we can actually build a part. And what we're going to build is we're going to build a round plate. And what you can actually do is say I want to switch something on here out with a different thing. Like if it's something better, if it's something worse, what we can do is we can chuck it in there and it will actually just go and you can make it onto whatever tool you have. So now we've got that. Now we've got that. Now I can go back and do that. And it's pretty much the same, except for this one's worse. This one's tiny bit worse as well, but overall they're pretty good tools, and this is just how easy Tinkers is to get started into. And of course, what you're going to want to do from here is you're going to want to start gathering up some sand, some clay, and some gravel. We were gathering up some sand, some gravel, some clay, and now we have a bunch, and we're combining it all into grout. So grout is the next thing that you need in order to actually go through the process of completing Tinker's Construct. So you'll need a book and a piece of grout to craft the book called Puny Smelting, which will give you all the information you need. But I'll be able to just go through it, which is fine. So essentially what we do now is we're going to take some sand, which is going to need to get smelted. We're going to need a little bit extra though. And then the grout's going to need to get smelted, and when the grout smelts, it will smelt into seared bricks. From seared bricks, so we'll see seared brick, and then we'll get glass. From there, what we'll need to do to get started on Tinker's Construct stuff, we'll need to make first ourselves a seared fuel gauge, then surround it in the bottom with seared bricks. We get a seared melter from that. Then we'll need to make a seared faucet. Then we'll need to make a seared heater, and from there we'll need to make one seared casting basin, as well as put them down. So what you do is you put the seared heater down, then you put the seared melter on top, and then it doesn't matter which side you go out of, but then you put a seared faucet and then a casting basin down at the bottom. And essentially from here we're going to chuck coal into the heater, and then we're going to put copper into the melter. And as you guys will see in a second, we're putting 3 raw copper in. We're actually going to get 4 ingots. And that's because we get 1.33 repeating. We essentially get 1 ingot, 3 nuggets per raw ore that we put in here. So now we have 4 ingots. We have 4 ingots in there. And now we're going to craft up a block of seared bricks, put it into our casting basin, and then pour the copper onto it. And what this is going to do is it's going to craft us a smeltery controller. And that's all you need the melter for. You can continue to use the melter if you want to. I'm not going to, because it's incredibly inefficient And overall, it just doesn't have the size that I want. So now what we're gonna do, and this is gonna take a second because I do need to get a couple more materials. We're gonna need to get a little bit more copper. So I'm actually gonna reset this up in order to get a little bit more copper at a better rate, because again, you get 1.3 times the amount that you would normally. So we're going to get a good amount. We're going to get 2 blocks of copper, and from there we will be able to fully just delve into this. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with setting up our smeltery while that's going. So we need our smeltery controller. Then we're going to need another one of those seared fuel gauges. So that's why you need so much glass. You get a seared fuel gauge, which is going to go right here. Then you'll need a bunch of seared brick blocks, which are going to go surrounding here, right over here. And then you need to fill up the bottom, which is why we have so many seared bricks. And you don't even need to make it one layer. And we'll need to get something else in a second, which is why we have that empty spot right behind here. But this is going to take a second, so give me one moment. So, essentially, the casting basin, once you fill it with a full block of anything, it will cool down if it's, like, heated up. So now we have a block of copper, and now we just need to get the rest of this copper smelted up so that we can fully go into and make the next couple things, because this is going to be very intriguing. So, it's filled up again. Of course, there's like 6 nuggets of copper still in the seared melter, so we're gonna just scrap it. If you break the structure while there's liquid in it, it will delete the liquid, so just be aware of that. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to fill up the seared fuel gauge with lava, because that is the fuel that the smeltery needs. And now we're going to make the other thing that the smeltery needs, which is called seared drain. And essentially, this is a way for you to input and output liquids directly into the smeltery, which is quite nice overall. And we also have 3 seared faucets, which is perfect, because we're also going to make 2 seared casting tables, which are going to get put right down here. And then our casting basin is going to get put right down here. Now we're going to break this guy. And that is the first layer of the smeltery completed. You can continue to add layers up to 64. And we've got the smeltery completed. So now in here, we can house up to 106 ingots. And we can smelt up to 9 at a time. So we're going to actually just chuck a bunch of our extra copper in here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take sand. We're going to craft it into blank sand casts. From there, we're going to come back over to our part builder. We're going to need a couple more patterns. So let's make ourselves some more patterns real quick. 15 patterns, perfect. And we're just going to make them out of stone because why not? But essentially, we're going to make a round plate, a pick head, and an axe head. And then out of wood, we're going to make a tool handle, because I do want to replace the tool handle on this mattock, which you can also do. And if you want to know how to do that and everything, just check the last episode. It's relatively simple on how to do all of this stuff. And so last episode was really comprehensive about that. So what we're going to do now is you take your blank sand casts, you put them down into the casting tables, then you imprint the part onto the sand by just clicking it on. And then now we need seared faucets on the drains. You can click the seared faucets and it will pour the molten copper into the cast, which will destroy the sand cast, but it will leave you with your part, which is nice. So now we've got our round plate, and we should probably make a sword. So we're going to just simply make ourselves a sword, which is 2 tool handles and a small blade. So we just need a small blade, okay, and tool handles. Get ourselves 2 tool handles real quick. Put the stone blade down, and we can just do this. And of course, you can always chuck away these old things, or if you have a parts chest, you can put it into your parts chest. I'm not going to do that right now, but now what we can do is we can make ourselves our sword, which is going to be a copper sword. Then we can upgrade our pickaxe by just chucking it directly into here. And that's our pickaxe. So now we have a copper pickaxe. Now we can get ourselves a copper oak wood mattock and just a pure copper mattock with Dwarven 2. So Dwarven makes the tool mine faster and has more projectile velocity the deeper you mine. And of course, there are alloys and such that we can come across and that we can do. Okay, this is going to be a really short episode for this one. So this is just a comprehensive guide to all of the different upgrades you can give to your armor, starting with the level 2 stuff, essentially. Diamonds. Diamonds increase durability, mining speed, attack damage, and armor. There's one level, so you can apply only one diamond, and it requires one upgrade slot. Emeralds just increase tool durability depending on base durability, and conditional damage, mining speed, and knockback resistance. And by conditional, essentially, like for Dwarven, the lower you are, the faster it mines. It will increase that. Experienced makes you get a little bit more XP from the stuff that you break or do with that tool. Fire primer, essentially, it just increases the area of effect of flint and brick, which flint and brick is the tinker's version of a flint and steel. Then magnetic, it essentially makes things pulled towards you. On armor, activates the magnet passively. Multiple levels increase the magnetic strength. These all require one upgrade slot. So netherite boosts durability, attack damage, mining speed, toughness, and knockback resistance, but it needs diamond or emerald to be applied before you can apply it. Still requires one upgrade slot, and it cannot be harmed by external damage such as lava. Overforced essentially gives overslime, which overslime is a new thing that instead of durability, it uses slime as its own durability thing. Reinforced, essentially, it adds a chance for durability to not be consumed, and it has 5 levels using 20 iron reinforcements each, and uses one upgrade slot per level. Soulbound, essentially, the tool stays with you if you die. You can also use a totem of dying for it. Tank, essentially, it just gives you like a bucket, essentially, with whatever tool. Zoom lets you zoom in, nothing crazy. Then there's melee upgrades. Fiery adds fire damage, essentially fire aspect. Freezing, it's essentially the frost version of fire aspect. It's like frost aspect. Knockback just adds knockback. Necrotic steals life from your enemies to heal you, which is great. Padded reduces the knockback of the tool. Severing, enemies drop their heads, multiple levels, increases the decapitation chance further. Sweeping edge, just sweeping edge. Anti-aquatic, so when you are in the water, then the enemies, essentially you do a lot more damage to sea creatures and they don't like you. Bane of, it's essentially spiders and creepers take extra damage. Cooling does more damage to flame, like so nether stuff. Pillager does extra damage to illagers. Pierce makes your stuff go through armor. Sharpness adds sharpness. Smite, same as smite. Swift strike means that you will attack faster, which is absolutely amazing. Plus it's just amethyst. Then there's some harvest upgrades. So blasting, mines blocks weaker to explosive faster. Pretty great. Haste just adds mining speed. Hydraulic mines faster underwater or in rain. Light speed, when you're in light, you will mine faster. Then there's ranged upgrades, which are essentially the same as the melee upgrades. And there's also armor upgrades. So fiery, freezing, again, when enemies hit you, ricochet, increases knockback you receive. So you will bounce back farther if you're hit. Springy, essentially, gives attackers knockback. It's the opposite. Thorns is just thorns. Item frame is just an item frame that you can have on your helmet. Respiration is essentially just a respiration thing. Haste increases mining speed and everything. Knockback increases knockback for you hitting stuff. Leaping increases jump height. Shield strap grants an extra offhand slot. Very interesting. Speedy increases movement speed. Step up essentially gives you a better version of auto jump. Depth Strider, it's just Depth Strider. Feather Falling, Light Speed, same as before. Soul Speed. And then there's also just a bunch of other random ones, like Blind Shot, Dies, Embellishments, Farsighted, Nearsighted, Offhanded, Overslime, Shiny, and Worldbound. Worldbound essentially makes it so that it's a crude version of Netherite. Immunity to external damage, but no strength increase. But it doesn't require a slot at all, so it's sometimes useful if you don't have Netherite yet. There's also a bunch of extra modifiers that will give you extra modifier slots, so Draconic adds an extra ability slot. Harmonious adds an extra upgrade slot, which all you need is a music disc. Rebalanced adds a modifier slot, and the slot's determined by the recipe. The greedy are penalized, so depending on what it is, you'll get something removed. Recapitated, you put a head onto your tool, and you get an extra upgrade slot. You can also add an end crystal, and it adds an extra upgrade slot. Or a book and quill, and it adds an extra upgrade slot, which is dope. And then now, so we have our smeltery set up, we've gone through all the modifiers already, we have our basic copper tools, and we have some copper in the smeltery. So what we're gonna do here is, since we also have our traveler's set, which you can actually make using just leather, it's pretty simple to make, honestly, just leather and copper, and it is the starting Tinker's armor. Then what you do is you can come over here, and you can't actually apply every modifier from the Tinker's station, but you can apply some. So what we're gonna do is we're going to apply diamond to all these guys. All of our tools can take a diamond, which is good. Then we're going to apply an emerald to all of our tools, because emerald is also very good. Increased durability, increased a lot of stuff, it's pretty decent. And then we're also going to add a netherite to everything. So now we have the best stats that we can possibly have on this level of gear, which is quite nice. So we've got all that equipped. In the nether, there's a new ore. When you mine it, it is cobalt. Then you can take your cobalt back into the overworld, you smelt it in the smeltery, and you can actually use it to craft up some very, very good stuff. So, we're gonna need to get a little bit more, but in essence, it is one of the best things. In addition to that, we have all this copper. Copper is going to get shoved into here. So we'll end up having, I don't even know how much copper right now, but then what we'll need to do is we will need to chuck in the amethyst shards, which will actually alloy with the copper. This is something that's very cool. You get alloying in the smeltery. So it's going to alloy with the copper into amethyst bronze. So now we have amethyst bronze at 4 ingots. Now we're going to chuck in the gold to get some like rose gold from that. And we need the rose gold for something else. But first, we're going to need a little bit more copper. Okay, well, instead of getting copper, I got some amethyst bronze, and what we're going to need that for is we're going to take our Tinker's Station, and then we are going to make it into the next level, which is called a Tinker's Anvil, which is for even better things. So now what we can do is we can use that ability slot on here to add Protection 1, which is the highest level of protection you can get, but it adds 5% resistance as opposed to anything else, which is very, very good. So then we also have the rose gold, and the way to get ingots out of it is you need to make an ingot cast, which the way that you do that is we should have some gold in here, 6 ingots of gold, and what we'll need to do is we just get ourselves a little bit of the seared brick, put a seared brick right down there, perfect. And then we'll just pour some gold over it, and that will create us an ingot cast. Then from there, we're going to take the rose gold, and we're going to pour it in, because we're going to need a little bit of rose gold. We're going to need approximately 6 ingots total. So we're just going to get 6 ingots real quick. Okay, the last 2 ingots, perfect. So now we have 6 rose gold ingots. We also have our ability slots on all of our tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with just a simple little thing called Lucky, which adds essentially fortune to it. And it looks like I need a little bit more copper. So then you put Lucky level 1 on, which takes 1 ability slot, but then Lucky level 2 uses that same ability slot, so you don't need any more ability slots. And then you get Luckier, which increases the stuff by even more. And then the final one, which is what we got the rose gold for, is Luckiest. And Luckiest is quite good because essentially it is Fortune 3 or Looting 3 on the weapons. And it's just really, really overall good. So now if we go back into the Nether and we try and get that cobalt, and we're going to use the cobalt to upgrade our tools here in a second. I do have Vein Miner on just for ease of use, but now we have 8. So out of those last 2, we ended up getting a total of 7, which is very, very, very high. It's amazing. And now what we're going to do is we're going to chuck the cobalt all in here. It's going to smelt up. We're going to need some stuff for it, actually. Namely being, we're going to need ourselves a tool handle. We're going to need ourselves a small blade, a pickaxe head, an axe head, and a round plate. So, for the tool handles, we're going to need several different tool handles. We're going to need 3 tool handles. For the small blade, actually, in fact, what we can do is we don't even need to use cobalt for the tool handles because rose gold is an even better handle material. So what we're going to do is we're going to use rose gold for the handles. And you don't have to waste any of the materials. So even if you use the wrong thing, you can just chuck it straight back into the smeltery. It'll give you everything that you put into it back, which is perfect because there's no reason to continue to waste materials and such. Anywho, so we've got all that. I don't need that extra rose gold guy, so now we're going to plop that down. I'm going to use the amethyst bronze for the round plate. And our reasoning behind that is because the more things you use, the different modifiers you get to have, and I get to showcase, so we're going to do that. And now we go on to our Tinker's Anvil. We take our sword, replace one of the things with rose gold, which overall has really good modifiers, just not great durability, which is unfortunate. But now we go 1 rose gold tool handle, and that one doesn't do anything. That means that I have to find which slot will do it. There we go, it's that one. So now we get enhanced to a little bit less durability, but the stats increase by a significant margin, and we get extra upgrades, which is nice, although that does mean that I will actually need the extra tool handles. I just forgot I did. So we're going to need to pour that. But now we take our copper pickaxe. We pour our we put our cobalt head in. Then we put our rose gold handle on. Take our sword. We put our cobalt head on, which will increase the damage by a significant margin. Take our mattock. And we combine it with the tool handle, the axe head, and the round plate. And overall, now, they are so much better than they started, and we have so much better things to work with now in our smeltery. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making the next tier of armor and going through kind of the different upgrades you can go with it. So first off, we've got ourselves the plate boots, then the plate leggings, then we've got ourselves the plate chest plate, which I believe is made like this. If I can remember, there we go. Plate chest plate, and then we also have the plate helmet, which is made like, wait. How is the plate helmet made? It's made like so. You've another chain in the middle for the back, I would assume. Then what you also have is you've got yourselves the plate shield, which, other way around, maybe? I think. Wait, huh? There we go. You just need nether, or essentially warped, or the crimson planks for it. Then you've got your plate shield. So the shields, they have blocking, which means you can block with them. Then the armor, much better. It's essentially like diamond armor, but you have 1 upgrade slot, 1 ability slot, and 4 defense slots. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 5 golden apples, and we are going to apply a golden apple, which will give us 2 additional upgrades in exchange for the ability slot, because we don't really need the ability slots on our armor or our shield, because they already kind of do what they need to do. Then what we're going to do with the 3 upgrade slots is we're going to apply first a diamond to all of them, just real quick, because a diamond will increase their base stats as well as their durability. So the durability is at 580 now. Now we're going to netherite it, which will increase the durability again. So from 580 to now 696 durability. Then we add this on, which will push it to 1044 durability total, which is quite a high durability for boots at 1100. And then from there, we still have the 4 defense slots of each of these. So, for defense slots, you have multiple different things. First off being, you have the fire protection, which uses 20 seared reinforcements per level. So fire protection 1 will give you a total of 10% fire resistance. And that'll go up to a maximum of 80% per piece of armor. So then the helmet will put gold reinforcement on, which gives magic protection. Then the chest plate will put on an emerald reinforcement, which gives us blast protection at 10%. The leggings will get amethyst bronze, which is projectile resistance. And the boots will put on cobalt, which will give us melee protection. Ideally, you want to go almost entirely melee protection, maybe with your boots and your helmet having some projectile resistance or explosion resistance, but they're not really necessary. Now, I'm going to teach you guys how to make those actual reinforcements. To get started, all we'll need to do is plop in a bunch of the materials into our smeltery, let them melt up real quick. Of course, we're using cobalt for the cobalt reinforcements, amethyst bronze for the amethyst bronze reinforcements, emeralds for the emerald reinforcements, gold for the gold, and seared bricks for the seared ones. And the primary thing that we'll actually need is actually going to be obsidian. So what you can do is you can either just put water and lava in here, or you can put straight obsidian. Putting water and lava will be quicker and yield you more obsidian, but the ratio is much higher for lava to water. So what you'll do now is you'll take the obsidian, you'll pour it onto your individual casting tables, wait for it to finally coalesce, and then from there, we'll take the amethyst bronze and we'll pour that right on top, and it uses 3 nuggets per one, and that's how you get the amethyst bronze reinforcements. So now we'll go back, click on the obsidian, and then we'll fill those up with obsidian. And then, of course, just like the amethyst bronze, you coat them in gold. They'll turn into gold reinforcements really quickly. And now we have 3 gold reinforcements. We're going to do the same again, showing that it's exactly the same when it comes down to the cobalt reinforcements. So cobalt, 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 grab those up real quick. You will be going through quite a lot of obsidian, so make sure that you have as much as you need. So now we'll go through the emerald ones, which emerald, same as everything else, you can just melt it in there and then get everything. Then you get your emerald reinforcements, and then your seared reinforcements are exactly the same. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna wait a second for it to cool down. Then we pour the seared on there. It uses 1 full seared brick per, so be aware it will use more. But now we've got our seared reinforcements, and that's pretty much all you need to know in order to do that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna craft up the reinforcements, we're gonna apply them, and then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna show a couple more upgrades and things that you can add to make them a little better into the future. So what you can actually do is once you've got some endgame things, like perchance you've defeated the dragon, you've gone over to the end islands, or just gone straight over to the end islands, you can actually add extra things over. So if you put a zombie head, you'll get an extra upgrade. If you put an end crystal, you'll get an extra upgrade. If you put a dragon head, you'll get an extra ability slot. Put a netherite scrap on, you now have world bound, which means that it will not actually disappear, but that's not really beneficial when you already have netherite on it, but it doesn't cost an upgrade or anything, so I might as well put that on too. Music disc will give an extra upgrade slot as well. So will a book and quill, and you can also embellish to make it whatever color you want it to be. So we've got ourselves a plate helmet right here with an obsidian embellishment on it now. What we can do now is add more things. So you need a defense slot for a jeweled apple. Of course, we used all our defense slots on everything else, but when you add these jeweled apples, you will actually get extra hearts depending on how many you add. So it can be quite nice, but there's also another level of armor, which in my opinion isn't the most worth it, but it is quite interesting, so we will touch on it in future episodes. But thus far, this is pretty much where we're at. Quite amazing stuff, but nothing completely insane. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. GG's. Peace. Have a great day. See you next time.